It's 11 after 7. A very warm welcome back. Now, my colleague Sakina Kamwendo is at the Desmond Tutu Refugee Reception Centre in Marabastad in Pretoria this morning. The Home Affairs facility offers documentation services to asylum seekers and refugees in Gauteng. And following the recent violence and looting in the province, hundreds of undocumented foreign nationals were arrested, raising concern over migration management in the country. Now, Sakina, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's over to you. Tell us what's happening where you are.
Well, good morning, Simpiwe, and absolutely correct. I'm outside the Desmond Tutu Refugee Centre, the reception centre here in Pretoria. And we got here just after 6 this morning. And as you can see behind me, there are queues moving along at this point and snaking all around this building in both directions. And that's quite apart from the people standing to my right here. And they also hoping to sneak into these queues as they move along. Well, as you said, hundreds of people coming here in order to get the correct documentation that would allow them to stay in the country. Now, according to the department's website, a refugee is a person who's been granted asylum status and protection. And an asylum seeker, on the other hand, is a person who comes here firstly to try and attain, of course, then refugee status. And that is the case with many people here. So as we got here this morning, quite a few people already approached us. And if you see how orderly this queue is moving along, we are told that this morning is the exception rather than the norm, and perhaps brought about by the presence of SABC cameras here in this precinct today. We are told that on a daily basis there's absolute chaos that plays out here at this particular reception center, and that people are constantly asked for bribes. I had someone who said he will speak to me later on. He pointed out one of the Home Affairs officials here this morning as someone who constantly harasses him for bribes. There were also complaints of preferential treatment to some foreign nationals over others, and of course took a closer look, went in and did see what could potentially be, some form of justification for the way some of the asylum seekers here are feeling. But one of the other big concerns is, of course, the crime and the bribery that plays out here at the centre on a daily basis. And we witnessed that firsthand this morning. So we're hoping to speak to a lot of the role players today, the Department of Home Affairs, naturally, as they are responsible for actually getting the documentation to those applying. But we also hope to speak to organizations and NGOs representing some of the asylum seekers here, and talking to their plight and what they have to put up with on a daily basis. So as I understand, the asylum status seekers here in South Africa, seeker status I should say, is that the majority of the applications are actually from Ethiopians, but the majority of those granted are actually to Somalians. So we'll find out a little bit more about all of these intricacies throughout the morning. But of course, I must also indicate to you that this is one of 5 reception centers in the country. It is this one in Marabastad here in Pretoria. Then there's one in Musina. There's another in Cape Town, also in Port Elizabeth and Durban. And we're told, at least anecdotally, that pretty much the same scenes play out. So we are going to hand it back to you now, Simpiwe, in Joburg. And when we come back, we'll speak to the issues more pointedly as they play out here at the Desmond Tutu Refugee Reception Centre in Marabastad in Pretoria. But for now, it's back to studio.